Get started. I don't know if you were here for Bill Stebbins, but that was freaking awesome. A little bit terrifying, very sobering. Yeah, I think we've got a lot of conversations coming in the future. All right, let's jump on this. I know we've all got things to do, and we're winding it up, getting towards the end of the day. Let's talk about Operation Bitcoin for a couple minutes, all right? So, I guess the backstory is in order. Seems to be the course of operations here, so to speak. All right. Nope. All right, my slides aren't advancing. Yep, my laptop's not doing anything anymore. I'm going to give you my backstory anyway. All right, so do you think we could figure out how to make these slides go forward? I think it might be because we have both of these plugged in at the same time.
Is it just frozen?
No, it's there.
Oh, there you go.
Well, it's not on the screen anymore.
Oh.
I'm just narrating this all through the microphone so you all can keep pace.
It goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's try it. There we go.
Nice. Perfect. Thank you. We're off to a good start. So, for goodn's sake. All right, we're going to do it like that. All right, backstory with a graphic. Okay, so I too am an Army veteran. Let me see, I joined in 2003. We were getting ready to engage in a massive invasion on Iraq. This was in response to the attack 9/11 and all of that excitement that came with that. So at the time, I was already kind of an old guy. I was 27 years old. I was in the real estate business. I had owned a couple other businesses, and I was doing okay. But when everything started heating up with impending war, I came to the conclusion that this was an opportunity that was going to be once in a lifetime for me to engage in something that was bigger than myself. That this was a mission, that this was a historic opportunity to go be a part of something and do something with my life. And like I said, I was 27 at the time, and for me, from that perspective, I felt like I was getting pretty damn old. Now, of course, that's kind of comical, but here we are. So I joined the Army in 2003. Actually, the month that I went to basic training, we invaded Iraq. So I was like, cool, this is great. I'm going to go be able to do Army stuff. And eventually, I got what I wanted. So I did go to Iraq, got to see all of the excitement over there, and, you know, I'm not going to go too far into those details. But having already possessed a little bit of wisdom of life, I kind of went in there with the perspective of knowing, okay, the government, they don't always do what they say they're going to do. Sometimes they're full of shit. I get that already. So I kind of had, you know, my eyes were open a little bit, but still, the degree to which things were not as they were portrayed, I guess you could say, to the general American public, it was still something that left a bad taste in my mouth. So we finished up our deployment and did a couple other Army things, and finally got to the point where I realized that I couldn't wake up every day and keep doing this and still look at my family, look at myself, and go forward with a clear conscience of being a part of this agenda, which was obviously not what it appeared to be. So I got out. Did a whole bunch of other things, and then Bitcoin entered into my life. It was last year. I'm a freaking new guy to this whole thing. And again, it kind of like it had been showing up, and I heard about it, and it was like, okay, neat. You know, this is some magic internet money. It's going to make a few people really rich, and it's going to rip off everybody else. And so I kind of stayed away from it. And then my dad, actually, who's a salty old Vietnam veteran, he's a freaking really smart guy. And he kept telling me about it, And finally, he like basically held me down and like poured Bitcoin in my ear until the lights came on. And I was like, wow, okay, there's something to this. This is like really money. And then I started thinking, and I was like looking more into it. And I was like, wait a minute, this is more than money. This is about freedom. So during the 10 years that I had been out of the Army up until that point, I had been working in veteran transition support nonprofits, creating veteran talent programs for different companies and different industries. And so my natural train of thought was, you know what? We need to get some veterans involved in this because this is a freaking mission. This is something that matters. And so that is what has led me to where we are right now. So it has been said that we're in a race to avoid a war, okay? We're in a race to avoid probably the war of all of our lives. And it's not even, I'm not even talking about nuclear Armageddon or in the streets fighting, although we can never truly rule that out. But the fact remains, there is an enemy. There is an enemy. And that enemy opposes our freedom. And we are in a race to prevent that from turning into something that is ugly that we all want to avoid. And again, all of this is going through my lens of, okay, how can veterans be involved in this? So here's the situation. Bitcoin adoption is the most important mission of our time. I think we can all agree upon that. Has anybody seen this series of statements before? Right. And so we're right about here. Okay? They're not ignoring any of this anymore. Okay? We've got their attention. They see it. Okay? They're not laughing. It's not funny to them anymore. It's not a joke. Okay? Nobody's laughing at this anymore. And we have entered into this. They're fighting us now. It has begun. And it's been going on for a while, but more and more of us are becoming aware of it. And so until we can get to this part right here, which none of us really even know what it looks like, we all have fantasies about it, right? We all have images that we're going to be like, stacked in, sats all over the place and living on the beach. Maybe some of us, but for most of us, maybe not. But regardless, we're never going to find out until we get through the fight. And it is upon us. Bitcoin needs warriors. Bitcoin needs warriors. And I'm not just talking about people that can do kinetic warfare in the streets again. I'm not just talking about people that know how to exercise violence in a very damaging and controlled sometimes way, but Bitcoin needs warriors. The good news is we've got some. So here's the situation with veterans in our country. We've got a whole lot of people that are embittered at the endless wars that our nation has been involved in. I don't need to go into detail. Just look up Afghanistan withdrawal on YouTube and you'll see everything that you need to see. Okay? 20 years, loss of life, loss of limb, loss of sanity, peace of mind. It wasn't for anything. Okay? So we've got veterans here looking for a mission, looking for a sense of purpose. In my time working with transitioning veterans, the most prevalent key indicator of success has been for a veteran to get engaged in a community with other individuals that are connected to a purpose-driven mission. A purpose-driven mission. That factor alone has saved so many veteran lives and has kept them plugged in and engaged in society in a way that prevents them from going into a tailspin and becoming one of those 22 a day that we hear about. The community, I can't overstate it, okay? We all sense the energy. We know the energy that's within the Bitcoin community, okay? It's the same with veterans, and that's another reason why we're a perfect fit. Veterans are looking for something to preserve, protect, and defend. In the United States alone, we have approximately 16.5 million veterans right now. 16.5 million, okay? That's more than many entire countries on the planet. 16.5 military veterans, and there are 200,000 more that join the civilian population every single year. Okay? We're here, and there's more of us joining all the time. And the exit rates for those that are transitioning from active duty into the civilian world is increasing because they're tired of it, because they've had enough, because the endless wars have become too much, and because they can see through it. I'm not going to go too far into the details, but I'm going to let you know that forcing people to get vaccines doesn't help either. All right? Re-enlistment numbers are dropping. They're tired of it. They don't want to be a part of it anymore. So the numbers are there. So this is the way, as they say. I'm not going to do a Mandalorian thing, but you get it. This is the way. That's Iron Mike. I ripped that off. It's actually probably my best graphic that I've ever made. So, you know, it's not too bad. All right, here's our mission, Operation Bitcoin. This is our mission. Everybody needs a good mission statement, right? Introduce, educate, equip, motivate military veterans to help lead the way. There's an alignment, a perfect alignment between military veterans and Bitcoin. Perfect alignment. And I know we've got some veterans in the room here, and you see it. And as soon as you make that connection, it's obvious. It's clear as daylight. It's right there. It's all those things I mentioned. Purposeful mission. Service to humanity. So many of us join the military wanting to perform a service, duty-bound to do something for the human race. I mean, I know it sounds big and it sounds bold, but we go in there wanting to change the world. And the reality is it doesn't happen. Not in today's military. Not for a long, long time. Long time. So, this word up here, I feel like this is important. When we talk about military, when we talk about veterans, and I've had these conversations with some fellow Bitcoiners also, some seem kind of surprised that veterans are interested in this word right here. But I'm going to tell you, people that have seen war will do anything to achieve that. This is the world that I want my children and my grandchildren to live in, is a world of peace. And of course, ultimately, freedom. Here are just some of the attributes that veterans are bringing to Bitcoin. I'm not going to give you the list of some of the very influential individuals that are already in the Bitcoin space that are doing amazing things, but there's a lot of us. There's a lot. And there's more of us every single day. These all look like pretty good things, right? Yeah. If I'm going into a situation that's difficult, where I need a bunch of really awesome people that have good skills and attributes, I want them to possess things like this. This is what you want on your side. That's what I want on my side. Here's how we'll do it. Educate, connect, and build. Educate. So, we've been pretty busy at Operation Bitcoin. One of the first things that we did was create a relationship with MePremier Bitcoin. And they have approved our application to become a light node. We are what's known as a thematic node. First of all, I mean, the folks over there are they're amazing. So, I mean, I'm sure everybody's following them. If you're not, get in there. You got to take a look and see what they're doing. So they have opened their arms and they have embraced us in allowing us to leverage the curriculum and the content as the foundation of our educational program, which we will tailor and modify to speak to a veteran audience. It's pretty amazing. It's a huge step for us. All right, the education, in-person, online. We're working on some app content as well, and gamification of learning, and content creation in the form of, I mean, of course, we need to have a Substack, right? If you don't have a Substack, do you even exist? So we've got to have that. And one of the reasons, I'm going to tell you real quick, behind the different approaches here is that there are veterans of all generations that are running around. It's like I said, my dad is 80-something years old. Okay, he's a Vietnam War veteran, 2 deployments out there, and he's the one that got me into Bitcoin, which, as I understand, is pretty rare for a crusty old guy to get his much younger son involved in something like that. But he's the guy. So we find it important to be able to appeal to all generations of veterans. This isn't just about post 9/11. This isn't just about Gen Xers or new kids that are getting out of the military right now. We've got veterans of all ages that are finding value in joining this mission. Don't want to leave them out. The connection part, if you haven't heard of the Bitcoin Veterans Group and the Bitcoin Veterans Podcast, check it out. There you go. Thank you. You've heard of it. I had a feeling. It's an amazing group of veterans who are also Bitcoiners. Okay, we've established a presence on Twitter, and we started up a podcast back in June. And we're going 20 episodes strong. Tomorrow we stream live on Spaces and YouTube and all that good stuff every Wednesday at 7 Eastern. And this is a plug. Preston Pish is going to be on it tomorrow. So I'm not sure if you know. He is an Army veteran, Apache pilot back in the day. And so we're having him on. Meetups, partnerships with veteran service organizations. These are just some of the connection things. Geographical connections with people based on where they live. Online. This is where it gets really interesting. Career opportunities, okay? It's, we're finding that there's an increasing demand for jobs in the Bitcoin space, and there aren't as many positions to put people in. And it's my intention to go out and to educate these veterans and to bring them in and put them into jobs in Bitcoin, because I think it's a lot of value that they can bring. So part of our program is going to be create internships that will allow service members in the last 6 months of active duty in the military to serve an internship with a Bitcoin company while they're still on the Department of Defense payroll and benefit system. So it's 6 months of free work from a person that is highly skilled and possesses all those attributes. And then at the end of those 6 months, ideally, the Bitcoin company will offer them a job. And so they've got an awesome person, high caliber talent, that is ready to engage in a mission, that has already been through the Operation Bitcoin MePremier program, and they are ready. They are ready to engage. They are optimized talent, as I like to call them. Now, again, we're not going to be able to find jobs for everybody because they just don't exist yet. So how do we address that? And all of these different steps are a result of us starting out saying, okay, you know what, let's educate everybody on it. And it's like, well, all right, what about after that? What do we do then? Okay, well, let's find a way to, get them into the workforce. Okay, well, all right, well, what if we can't? Well, here's what we'll do then. Let's find the ones, after they go through our program, let's find the ones that are builders. And let's create an incubation program and guide them and teach them and show them and mentor them in the ways of creating their own Bitcoin business. So then what happens is they enter the Bitcoin ecosystem, they create something, and they provide jobs. Because that's what we need. We need more builders. We need more opportunities for people to get engaged in that way. And I'm going to tell you, we've already seen so many examples of builders that are happening right now. Bill, who just spoke, doing amazing things. Okay, in our Bitcoin veterans group alone, actually, since I've been here, I met a guy who he's building a resort down here, a veteran. A guy spoke earlier today. He's Bitcoin Stock Exchange. We have a guy in our Bitcoin veterans group who's starting up a private security company to provide security to events like this on a volunteer basis. It's happening. We have a guy who's doing web design for a bunch of people, and he's amazing. Content creation, self-reliance training. We have one of our guys, he started up a nonprofit to offer PTSD recovery experiences in the mountains where he lives. It's wild stuff. And these are all Bitcoiners. And they're building all these things. And they're all service-oriented. Did you catch that? They all have to do with contributing to the community, to enhancing the community, to making it better, to building. That's what they're doing. And of course, everybody's a podcaster these days. So, and that's not meant to discourage you if you're thinking about doing it, because I think that we need more of it. Let's blast the sound waves. Let's drown and drench the internet with our voices of truth, because they need to be out there. All right. Whenever a service member joins the military, they take an oath. Okay, they put their hand up in the air and they swear an oath. For so many that do that, for so many that take that act, they take it seriously. And they find that when they leave the military, that oath is unfulfilled. That oath to be a part of something, that oath to serve something, to protect something, to defend something that's bigger than them. something that is worthwhile, something that is positive, something that will build. But for so many, that oath goes unfulfilled. And then when they leave, there's this sense of, it's like this gnawing thing in the back of their minds that they just can't get past. And I struggled with this myself when I first got out, actually for several years. And that's one of the reasons why I got into helping other veterans find their place in the civilian world. But still, you know, even the ones that we would find success with, we'd have one that would fall through the cracks and take his own life. We'd have one that would fall through the cracks and find himself in a terrible place with substance abuse and lose his family. We'd have one that would get arrested because they got desperate and then go to prison. And every single one of those, it would eat at me. And I couldn't let it go. So there was a feeling within myself that my oath to them was unfulfilled. There are 16.5 million of us in the U.S. alone, many of whom are feeling that sense of an unfulfilled oath, and they're looking for a place. They're looking for a mission to become engaged with, to become involved in, to fulfill that oath. For many, it's a sense of redemption. And for some that I talk to, I mean, there's even a feeling of atonement for the things that they had done while they were in the military that they just can't seem to settle in their own minds and in their own souls. And this is that opportunity to become a part of something, to engage in something and to build something within a community that needs them. So I'm going to encourage you, all of you, to get on the mission. You don't have to be a veteran. We all know somebody. But the bottom line is we need all of us to make this happen. And it's just like when we're in the military, we're not doing it for us. We're doing it for everyone. We're doing it for all of us. Okay? We're here to serve you. And that's all I got. Are there any questions? Comments? Concerns? Did I do okay on time? He's like, yeah, you did good. All right, guys, thanks.